Hi guys, so this is the first lesson on using VBA in Excel. So to start off, the first thing you need is to have the Developers tab. So I'm doing this on 2007. If you have a different version, you can always search it up on Google how to activate the Developers tab or ribbon. So in 2007, just click the Options button and then Excel Options, and then in Popular, tick the Show Developer tab in Ribbon button. Okay, so once you have that, just open it and then click the Visual Basic button, which will bring us the Visual Basic editor. So once we have that, in order to write codes, let's insert a module. So go into Insert and click on Module. Okay, so I've made the font size a bit bigger than normal. Make sure you're watching this in HD quality. Okay, so let's do this question. So here we have a problem. We have two numbers and we want to return the average of these two numbers. So okay, so let's firstly create a program. So in order to create a program, we need to type in the word sub followed by the name of the program. We can call the name anything. Let's call it first program. And then we click enter. Then the rest of the function, Excel will recognize what you're trying to do and Excel will complete the sentence for you. So okay, so the first thing we need is we need two variables so that we can assign these two values to. So in order to create variables, you must type the word dim, and then let's call the variables x and y. And we need to also give the variables different types. So we need to assign types to these variables. So it looks like these two are integers. Okay, so let's assign them as integers. Alright, so we have x and y as integers, and let's dim an average, so this is our final value, as also an integer. Okay, so now let's assign x and y. So we need to say x is equal to 34 and y is equal to 56. Okay, notice every new line here is a new statement. Okay, so when you can't put this on the same line, okay, because they won't be the same statement. Okay, so we need this on a new line for it to be a new statement and independent statement. Alright, so okay, so now let's calculate the average. Average is equal to x plus y, put the brackets around it, and divide it by 2. Yeah, now we need to show the average somewhere, so let's print the average over here. Okay, so this is cell 4 D4. Okay, so in order to print, we need to call the cell. So firstly, let's say it's active sheet. So active sheet stands for the sheet that we have opened, which is the one that is open right now, the one that's active right now. And then we put a dot. The next thing we need to do is cells, or cell. Okay, so cell, once we have the bracket open, we need to, the first number we put in there is the row number, so 4, and then we put the column number, which is D. D is the fourth letter, so 4 again, is equal to average. Okay, and this will print the average over here. Now let's see if this works. Okay, there are two ways we can see if this works. We can click the run button here, press F5, or click the run button here, or we can go into macros. Okay, and then it will list all the macros that we have. So right now we only have first program, and let's run it. Okay, and then we got the average of 34 and 56, which is 45. Alright, so let's go back and look at this code. Okay, now what I could have done is I could have wrote these in two lines, so dim y as integer, dim x as integer, but because they're very similar things, they're just two very similar things, I wrote them in one line separated by a comma. In fact, with all the same types, you could write them all on one line. You could write average here if you wanted to, but I wrote average somewhere else because it stood for something else. It's different from X and Y. Okay, I mean I could have done this, so let's take it out and let's try it. So it still works. Yeah, I pressed this button this time. Okay, so that's our first lesson. Now now let's go back here. Okay, here we've called 34 and 56. Now if I change these numbers, the numbers here won't change. So instead of assigning the 34 and 56 here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually assign these variables to these cells. Okay, so active sheet, cells. So what's this? This is the fourth cell and fourth row and second column. So what do we put here? So we should have 4, 2, 4, 2. Okay, and then the next one, active sheet dot cells 4, 3. Okay, so now if I change these two numbers, it will also change. I can run this, and the average is 1. So 4 and 8. Run. Now, there's something wrong with our program. So I'll tell you what is wrong. It won't calculate the average properly if the sum of these two is a odd number. So if I have 5 and 8, the average here should be 6.5. It's not going to calculate it properly. It's going to calculate 6. 6. It's going to do 7. 7. It's not going to calculate properly. Oh, 7, it does calculate properly. So here something is actually no, it didn't calculate properly. So something is wrong here. Okay, so what is wrong? Can you think of what is wrong? This part is actually wrong, because our average can be a decimal point. It's not an integer. It's not necessarily an integer. Okay, so let's fix that up. So in order to have a decimal point, we need to make it a double. Okay, double just means double. It just means you can have decimal points. Okay, up to around 16 or 17 digits. It's accuracy, anyways. So let's run that. Now it works properly. Okay, so whenever you need double, just call it as a double. Whenever you need integer, you call it as an integer. Okay, so that concludes our first lesson.